Morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Monday, the 23rd day of December 2024. Today is my 40th anniversary, and we're off to a cracking start. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders. Let me do the first important things first. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage, keep our places clean. Blessings also upon those that make deliveries, such as mail, for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and children that are victims of child molestation and pedophilia. People that are also helping those that are victims of prostitution and child prostitution. People that are helping those that are victims of pornography, victims of child pornography, human trafficking, sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators. Double curses on the profiteers, and double curses on the perverts that drive the demands for these evil industries. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. More than 600,000 men, women, children, families, veterans, senior citizens, even today homeless in the United States of America. And millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Yes, we're already up to a cracking start. I'm here in Daytona Beach, Florida. My wife and I are going to be walking along the boardwalk later. We got reservations at a restaurant. We had a nice dinner last night at a restaurant. We've been chilling. It's pretty good, man. But tonight, even more. Well, not even more, but just as much fun. There's going to be a game tonight at Madison Square Garden. The New York Knicks are taking on the Toronto Raptors at Madison Square Garden. Now, Toronto's had a rough year. Immanuel Quickley's been out for a minute. I mean, he has not been available. And this is not like him. It's an elbow issue he's been dealing with. And we know IQ. IQ is a very hard worker. I mean, very hard worker. And he's always looking to improve his game. I always been saying from the time he came, as much as I was deuce high, that he would eventually be a starter somewhere. I thought the Knicks were going to start him, but then they got Jalen Brunson, and we know how that has worked out. But I thought he would be a starter. He's an NBA level starter, and I think the sky's the limit in terms of his talent. I wouldn't put a limit on how good he could be. But he has had a rough start with Toronto. Toronto is giving him the basketball the way we give Jalen Brunson the basketball and said, this is your team. But he has had a rough start of it so far. And so he has really, he's missed a lot of games for Toronto this year. I think I see him, he's only played 3 games this year. And that's not like IQ. And there's 2 things involved. Number 1 is the injury itself, the elbow. And then number 2, this is the first time. It's always an adjustment in the league when a guy is given the basketball to run an NBA team as his team from the point guard spot. As I said, the 2 toughest positions to learn in the league is point guard and the 5 spot. Okay, because of all you have to know, the plays you have to call, the awareness you have to have in those 2 positions. Very difficult to learn. So he knows the game, IQ. And I know this is a Knicks thing, but once a Knick, always a Knick, right? So he knows the game. He just now, there's another level, and even with Jalen Brunson this happened, there's another level of learning when you are given the ball and said, this is your team, okay? It takes time. If you remember Jalen Brunson's first year here, he did. It takes time for him to adjust to having his own team. And so these 2 things have conspired between that adjustment and the injury to really derail what is so far Immanuel Quickley's season. That, and then so you have the team is supposed to be built around Quickley, Barrett, and Scottie Barnes. Tremendous young core. That's a tremendous start to build a team around. And Masai Ujiri will build a team around him. He's done it already. He did it in Denver, and then he came to Toronto and did it here when they won the chip with Kawhi Leonard. So he's going to do it. I mean, he's got a track record to do it. He's going to do it. It's just a matter of time. So this year doesn't look like, I don't want to write off their whole year as far as the Raptors, but it looks like this is going to be a big time rebuilding, learning year. They're expecting Quickley back. They got January 3rd as his expected date of return, January 3rd. So that's not far. It's next week, basically. Yes, next week, maybe the end of next week. Barrett they list him as game time decision. He missed the game yesterday. It was a back-to-back. He missed the game against Houston yesterday, which they lost. It was a tough loss for them. They played, it was a tough game, but Houston is really good. So Barrett is dealing with a sickness, and then you have Immanuel Quickley, and so you still have Scottie Barnes. But other than that, really, they're just struggling this season. It's just a tough season for the Toronto Raptors. So that all being said, they are still an NBA team. Okay, that's the thing, really and truly, in the league. And some people still don't get it. This ain't college. And I'm not trying, I know I make this saying up, but it's the real deal. This ain't college. This ain't NBA 2K. This is the league. And in the league, to play in the league, you got to be good. And let me use an example of Moses Brown. Some people are looking at Moses Brown, the 6'11" guy that was in the Knicks G League. Let me just tell you, Moses Brown and Matt Ryan are fringe NBA players. They're not full-time NBA players. They're fringe. You can look at the size. You can look at performance against G League, and that's all good. But if you look at Moses Brown's performance in the league, he's been bounced around a bit. Why? Because his feet too slow. He doesn't cover ground quick enough at his size. He doesn't rebound strong enough at his size for the league. Okay? And if you're a 7'5", a 7'5" spot guy, you got to be able to call out the defenses. You got to be able to understand what's going on, and you got to be able to react to what's going on. There's a lot more to it than just being 7 feet tall. Okay? So when you can play in the league as a regular player, you could ball. Okay? Like Jericho Sims. Okay? So many of you have been down in Sims as if this is like playground or this is high school. This ain't high school. This is the league. Now, I'm not saying Jericho Sims is going to be a superstar. He's not. But he's in the league. And what am I saying? That the Toronto Raptors could beat the Knicks tonight if the Knicks don't come correct. So this is the thing. Scottie Barnes, Grady Dick, a rookie, right? They building around him. Tremendous shooter coming out of Kansas. Tremendous shooter. And he's been starting a lot of games this year because of injury. I liked Ochai Agbaji, who I also think came out of Kansas, if I'm not mistaken. I think both of those guys, different years, come out of Kansas. I liked Ochai Agbaji coming out of Kansas that year because not only could he shoot the three, he was a tremendous defender. He starts at power forward, and it's out of position for him. He's not a power forward. He's a small forward. But he's been playing because of the injuries, again. See? So then they have Jacob Podol. I hope I'm saying his name right. And he's out because of injury. And then you got Kelly Olynyk, a veteran, backing him up. And then Mogbo is a very promising young five that they have, okay? So this is a rebuilding team. And right now you're talking about the youngsters, right? When you look at their roster, all of those guys that I just named, they're youngsters, man. You're talking about, let's see, Grady Dick is 21. Scottie Barnes is 23. Mogbo is 23. Ochai Agbaji is 24. RJ's 24. Immanuel Quickley is the old man of the group. He's 25. See? And they got Davion Mitchell, who's 26, right? Kelly Olynyk is 33. That's the vet. Chris Boucher is 31. So they got, and Bo Podol is 29. So they got, a template, a foundation. This ain't obviously their year, right? I can tell you this. They're not going to be a championship team this year. They probably won't even be a playoff team this year. But they're in the league. So the Knicks have to handle business tonight at Madison Square Garden. I know people like to look, again, they like to look at scripts. Oh, these are winnable games. Listen, you can't just take a bunch of games in the NBA and say, oh, this is winnable. Look, it's one game at a time. Tonight's game is against Toronto. And I'm so glad that we got Tom Thibodeau as our coach because this is what he stresses. Forget what's Christmas Day against Victor Wembanyama. This is tonight. You got to beat Toronto at MSG. Now, the Knicks don't have anybody but Mitchell Robinson, really, from there. I mean, they got McKellar on there, but he's not really on the team. They're hoping for him to be ready next summer and play in the summer league. Okay? He's still rehabbing the knee. And let me just speak on that for a second. Kevin McCullough, the thing about him is that he's got, a lot of y'all compare him to Josh Hart. And maybe he's got a Josh Hart style to him. But until he comes in the league and actually plays, don't disrespect Josh Hart with a dude that's never set foot in the NBA court. Okay? Don't disrespect Josh Hart. So this kid has to show himself he's got to show himself ready for the league. And if he does get healthy, the Knicks would have gotten a guy that could be a player in the second round off an injury, similar on a smaller level to what Denver did with Michael Porter Jr. Hurt his back. He was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick that year. He was the best player in college basketball, but his back was injured and nobody took him in the top 10. He ended up going 14 to Denver. They bide their time with him, and obviously it paid off. They won a chip with him being a major piece to that championship team. So the Knicks will get somebody that could be a little golden nugget here with McCullough. But he's got to come back from his knee injury. We have heard no reports about his progress. Okay? So we will know next summer, though. Next summer is going to be a big summer league for these guys. I don't think even the Knicks will worry about who they're going to draft next, because they'll probably trade their draft picks or something, because they don't need them right now. That's what I've been telling you. They don't need no picks right now. We stacked right now. So you're talking about your boy Kolick. You're talking about your boy Hook Porty, right? You're talking about your boy Pacome Dadier, and you're talking about McCullough. Next summer is going to be a big summer for those guys. They're going to be expected to dominate the summer league. Okay? And somebody's still calling for Toppin, right? Love Toppin, but he's an older guy compared to these dudes. You see, I mean, he came in. I mean, he was a transfer, and this is the similar situation with him as with Kolick. Multiple time transfer. They come in the league a little older. So Kolick is 23. He'll be 24 next summer. McCullough is 23. He'll be 24 next summer. And Toppin, let me see what we got Toppin in here. Toppin is 24 now. He'll be 25 next summer. Comparatively speaking, we just talked about Scottie Barnes, R.J. Barrett. They're all younger than these guys, right? And they got multiple years NBA experience, right? So that's why these guys are coming along slower. And what does that mean? That means their peak, their ceiling is going to happen sooner. And at their ceiling, they may not get any minutes. See? That's what we got to look at. So next summer is a big summer for these guys, all of them. They don't need nobody else coming in. They need to prove themselves next summer, okay? And even then, it's going to be tough. Like I said, look at the Knicks. Right now, the Knicks has as their starters Brunson, Bridges, Hart, Anunoby, and Towns. And their bench, Cameron Payne, McBride, and Precious. And we know that Shamit's coming. If this team does what we expect, which means win the Eastern Conference, there's going to be no minutes for any of them guys. Where they going to get in the rotation? There ain't no rotation minutes. Okay? So they better hope, they got they're trade bait at that point. Okay? Some of them. Not all of them, but we'll see. Hook Porty is a big man who defends the rim, as we know. He's got a lot of promise. I think that may be a guy that sticks around. The rest of these cats, I mean, like I said, when you go to next summer, Kolick's going to be 24. And if you're talking about him playing above Deuce, no. Payne, no. Shamit, no. Okay, he's not getting any minutes in front of any of those guys. And don't let the Knicks win, like I said, Eastern Conference with these guys. So now what is he going to do? He's trade bait. Okay? He's trade bait for future picks. That's what it would, because at some point the Knicks are going to need picks. They don't need them right now, but at some point they're going to need them. So that's what we're talking about. But these guys are trying for their NBA life. Okay? So, and maybe if McCullough comes off, like if he's as good as we think he could be, and he's fully healthy next year, because Josh Hart is 30. I think he's 30 now, going to be 31. Well, then you got a guy that's the heir apparent for him. He's got to wait, but he's the heir apparent for Josh Hart. Now, I mean, he's going to have to wait because Josh Hart ain't slowing down. Okay, so we'll see, but that's for the future. For tonight, they got to beat Toronto. They got a healthy team. Shamit should be on the bench tonight. They just re-signed him, so he's ready. I don't know how many minutes he'll get. That's up to Tibbs. But we know we got the solid 9-man rotation right now. Got a solid 9-man rotation. You see, and again, I want to address one more thing: the pressure to a starting thing. Now, I thought that in the absence of Hart, Achua should start, but I thought they would. Somebody told me they were starting Deuce. That was bad information. They weren't starting Deuce. They started Precious, and we see the results. That was a tremendous game. And as I said, anytime Precious starts, he's always getting double-double. I don't think there's a game that Precious started that wasn't a double-double for him. Okay? He's good. So I don't know about him, but now him starting, no. 2 reasons. Number 1, Tim does not like to disrupt his starting lineup. There's a thing called continuity that not only the same player, but the same lineups play together. Okay? It's not high school where a guy just does real great in practice and you give him a chance. This ain't that. So you don't do it. Number 2, Precious is really the height and the rebounding that come off the bench right now. The height and the rebound. At 6'8", he can guard all 3 positions along the front line. And so you want that in your second unit. Now, it changes when Mitchell Robinson comes back. And why? Mitchell Robinson would man the second unit. You will get your rebounding. You will get your rim protection. Now you can bring Josh Hart into the second unit and put Precious as the starter at that point. That's a chess move for later. It's like somebody said, Mitchell Robinson coming back healthy is like getting something at the trade deadline. Except this is better. So let's wait till Mitch Rob comes back. And then, you're going to see Mitchell Robinson, Josh Hart, Deuce McBride, and either Cameron Payne and or Landry Shamet. That second unit is going to be devastating. Devastating. Okay? And then we already know what happens with Precious in the starting unit. So, yeah, there's that. And I know there's going to be some of y'all talking about Cat at the 4. Cat is a natural 5. To try to play him out of position for an NBA 2K game is stupid. Let him play the 5 because there's no 5 in the league that can guard him. Okay? There's no 5 in the league that can guard him. By the way, the Knicks defense is ticking up now. Where they just held New Orleans to under 100. Okay, they just held New Orleans to under 100. And every time they hold somebody under 100 this year, they have won. Every time. So they hold New Orleans under 100. They held Orlando under 100. They held Orleans under 100 twice. Charlotte under 100. And that's including garbage time. They held Philly under 100. They held Houston under 100. Oh, no, that's not true. They lost to Houston. They got held under 100. But they held Detroit under 100. They held Indiana under 100. And so right now, don't look now, but the Knicks defense is ticking up. They got a 7-point differential, 3rd in the Eastern Conference. They're the 3rd best defense opponent's points per game in the Eastern Conference. The Knicks are starting to trend up on the defensive end. I don't think it's any coincidence that happened once Deuce got healthy and Precious came back. And also, let's not forget, El Gato Grande leads the NBA in rebounding. So it's picking up. Just as we thought, Tibbs' team start slow and start to pick up. Especially once you get to the new year. And we're not there yet, but we're getting close. And the Knicks are too. So enjoy this game tonight. Let's get this dub. Make it 19-10. Right? Yep, make it 19-10. And let's move on. Y'all enjoy the game. And I'm going to enjoy this day with my wife. Sure.